Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday night, and I'm glad to have you here. I know we're competing with a couple other channels right now, but I wanted to get this out. It's something I started a couple days ago. I don't know that I'll be able to finish it tonight, but I did want to get another installment of podcast excellence out. And of course, we do get a lot of views after the live as well. And so thanks to Alana and Deb and BW and Dawn for being here. And it shows there's a lot of other people here, but not in chat, and that's okay. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to come in and put your name, but if you'd like to ask questions, you're certainly welcome to do so. Put them in capital letters. I'm more apt to see them. And even though this is going to be a pretty in-depth study, I'll do my best to check back from time to time and answer questions. I mean, it's Friday night. We're all friends here. And I hope that you have been listening to our recent broadcasts. We've had some great ones with Derek. We've had some great ones solo. And of course, got the RV all reserved today. I'll be going out to the desert and taking part in the Witness in the Desert. Rex Bear is going to be there. Derek Rose will be there. I'll be there. Jay Campbell's going to make a short appearance. It looks like Scotty Roberts might be there. And many of you are going to be there. So it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a fun time, and it's going to be a time of enlightenment and encouragement. And don't expect everybody to be on the same page about everything. I think it's pretty apparent for any of you that are paying attention that there's differences in beliefs and doctrines and convictions between myself and Derek, myself and Wayne, myself and just about everybody else. Hell, sometimes I even disagree with me. So myself disagrees with me. I have disagreement between me, myself, and I at times, and that's okay. That's called learning. That's called growing. So if you're expecting lockstep, and if you're expecting everything to be the same, you're going to be disappointed. And if you send me an email saying, well, Derek says this, don't even bother sending that, because I don't get my doctrine from Derek. Derek doesn't get his doctrine from me. We both, in each of us, talk about what we're given, and that's okay. And we don't have to agree on everything, but we agree on many things, and we agree on the mission that we're being called and prompted to complete. So that's what we're doing. And part of my original mission was to break down the fear and guilt control matrix of Christianity, to show you that there are two religions in the New Testament. There's the religion of the Christ, and there's the religion of Saul of Tarsus, AKA, which means also known as, the Apostle Paul. I contend he's the false Apostle Paul, because of the 177 times he's called apostle in the scripture, 176 of those times he calls himself apostle. And even Jesus said that if I witness of myself, my witness is untrue. I should be able to end this video right here. Paul's the only one that called himself an apostle. He was his own witness. And by very definition of the Christ, if you bear witness of yourself, then your witness is not true. So there you go. But anyway, little Apostle Paul Antichrist fact sheet. And we went here, maybe a quarter through here. This is the cover of the book that it came from, featured on Coast to Coast AM, forward by George Norrie, host of Coast to Coast AM. Be impressed, be very impressed. But let's just start off. Let's just jump in, and I'll come back in between points and answer questions and entertain discussion. Paul, if he had been an apostle, would of necessity have been the 13th apostle, because there were already 12. You know, if you take it, the 12th, and then they put Matthias in. So they had 12. All the positions were filled. But yet Paul says he's an apostle. Well, that gives me a problem, ladies and gentlemen, because when I look at the scriptural evidence, and I look at Revelation 21, chapter 14, it says, the wall of the city had 12 foundations, bearing the names of the 12 apostles. Bearing the names of the 12 apostles. So if there was 13 of them, how come the 12 foundations have the 12? And if Paul was the 13th, then the guy that wrote 2/3 of the New Testament is not going to have his name among the 12 foundations of the New Jerusalem, which is probably a Borg cube to assimilate you anyway. So it's not that great of an honor, but that's another podcast. So Paul, Saul, Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, who called himself 177 times an apostle, Paul, who says he's an apostle, the 12 foundations of the city have the name of the 12 apostles, but if there's 13, whose name they leaving out? I'm just wondering, whose name are they leaving out? And we can also look at Matthew chapter 19 and verse number 28. I won't make you seasick. I'll go there first. And once I get there, I'll bring it up for you. Matthew 19:28. 19 and 28. Make sure I got the right scripture. Matthew 19 and 28. Oh, here we go. It's that Jesus guy again, causing trouble for Paul. You'll find that happens a lot. Jesus causes a lot of trouble for Paul. Jesus said, in the renewal of all things, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones. So there's going to be 12 thrones for the 12 apostles, but there's 13 of them. There's going to be 12 gates or 12 foundations with the name of the apostles on them, but there's 13 of them. How do you square that, ladies and gentlemen? How do you square that, ladies and gentlemen? Something is foul in the state of Denmark. Quick visit to the chat room to see if we have questions, comments. So let's see if we have questions, comments on this. He may be an apostle for someone else. Tracy Dyer thinking, yes, he may be an apostle for somebody else. And in fact, he is an apostle for someone else. James John III, Global Witness Group heading over. Nice to see you, James John III. I'm assuming they broke up over there. Love the title of this show, says Unicus. Good evening to you, Lori Chavez. Good evening, anti-popular girl. I was checking out a new person. Did I miss anything? Well, you can go back later. Christina Reed, nice to see you. Mr. Jen 804, just got done watching Global Witness. Great. I'm glad they're done. Maybe we'll get some more people over here from one show right to the other. That's the way to do it, World's Lost. Hey, Lori Chavez, nice to meet you, or nice to see you. Of course, I've already met you. So we've just covered the first topic here, that the foundations of the New Jerusalem are said to be 12, and that the name of each of one of the 12 apostles will be on each foundation. And yet Paul says he's an apostle, which creates 13 apostles, which creates a conundrum. Chris Jones, Bearded Canuck, David Gregg, nice to see you coming in. Darla Dawn. So how do you have 13 apostles and 12 foundations? Who gets left out? And then Jesus said that the 12 apostles would sit on 12 thrones, but now there's 13 apostles. Are they going to add on a throne? I don't know. But it's pretty obvious from that there aren't 13 apostles and that Paul wasn't one. And we also talked earlier how Paul, 177 times in the New Testament, it says Paul was called an apostle. 176 of those times, Paul called himself the apostle. The other one, he was called a false apostle. And Jesus said that if I bear witness of myself, my witness is untrue. So Paul is the only one that bore witness of his apostleship. Paul bore witness of himself, ergo, according to the words of the Christ, his testimony, his witness is untrue. the 13th floor, etc. AI. Alana Dawn, that's a great thought. Think of what she just said, gentlemen. She just said that Paul being the 13th apostle, tying it to the idea of, why hotels don't have a 13th floor, tying that to the whole artificial intelligence. Paul was the 13th apostle. Paul is the AI. Paul is the imposter. Alana Dawn, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to be an old guy like me and like Derek and like Wayne and like Rex. Alana, 30-something, 31, 32, getting revelation just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Thank you, Alana Dawn. And it brings a new perspective. As I drop my coaster, did I mention that I miss my old chair? And I miss my old desk too, but we're not going to go there. So that's where we are. And let's get right back into more of, didn't Christ announce the disciples? Yeah, I think he did. And guess who wasn't included, Bearded Canuck? One Saul of Tarsus, a.k.a. also known as, is what that stands for. Pardon me, I should have muted, but it was too far to reach. The Apostle Paul. So let's go ahead and look at our next point. I like this one. In Paul's conversion account, in his first conversion account, because there's more than one, but in Paul's first conversion account, in Acts 9:11, I want you to see where he goes. And that's interesting too, Alana. Paul's conversion account is in Acts 9:11. Ooh, really? Acts 9:11, 9:11. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. I've seen it, of course, 1,000 times, but I've never thought it through before. That's powerful stuff. 9:11, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So Acts 9:11. So he sees Jesus, right? He sees Jesus, allegedly, and we're going to get into what he really saw. And the Lord says to him, get up. In the very first place he went, ladies and gentlemen, after his so-called conversion, was the house of Judas. You cannot make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. The first place that Saul goes, and the place he went to get baptized, ladies and gentlemen, the place he went to get healed, the place he went for ministry, was the house of Judas. Judas being the one that, according to tradition, betrayed the Christ. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm leaving it up there for a minute. As soon as he got knocked off his beast, 3 days without sight, scales of a reptile on his eyes, which we'll get to later, and the Lord tells him the first thing he did, the first place he went, the house of Judas. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you just a little bit. It's what I do. Luke was the scribe for Paul, Saul. So Luke is the one writing this down. The Romans had a person called a censor that read every bit of writing produced by subjected peoples. And Israel, Judea, Jerusalem was under military occupation. It wasn't just another day in the park. They were under Roman military occupation. So everything the apostles wrote was read by the Roman censor and had to be vetted and approved. How does that make you feel about your New Testament? It was read, vetted, edited, and approved by the Roman Empire. But wait, there's more. Down in the 17th century, it was read, edited, vetted, and approved by King James and his merry men. But wait, there's more. Sir Francis Bacon had it for a year before it was ever published. What was he doing with it? It gets curiouser and curiouser. But I say that because Luke wasn't able to just write, Paul was a false apostle. It would have been a lot easier if he'd have done that. But Paul was an agent of the Roman government. And if Paul would have written, this conversion was fake, and Paul was an agent of the Roman government, he was a traitor, well, Luke's writing would have never seen the light of day, and Luke's head would have come away from his neck. They would have killed the fool. So how can you say, if you're Luke, let's say you're Luke, poof, you're Luke. You're writing this document because you've already figured out that Paul is the first Antichrist, and you're secretly working with the apostles of the Christ and feeding them intel about Paul. And we'll get to that. It was in my book, Apostle Paul Antichrist, available at jeffreydarty.com, both paperback and ebook, but that's not what we're here for. And if you are trying to communicate the fact that Paul was a traitor in a way that it could actually be read by other people, and in a way where you could keep your neck attached to your head attached to your neck, what better way would it be to say Paul was a traitor? Well, let's think about this. Everybody's familiar with the story of the Christ, and everybody's familiar that Judas betrayed the Christ. I got it. What if, check this out, guys. What if I decided that I'll write and I'll talk about Paul's conversion, and there's more there, but we'll get to that later. And I'll say the first place he went was the house of Judas. Everybody will get it. He went to the house of Judas to get baptized. He went to the house of Judas to get healed. Oh, everybody will see it. I don't have to say Paul was a traitor. All I have to do is say the first place Paul went was to the household of Judas. Everybody will get it. And guess what? Everybody that read it when it was published did get it. But you haven't got it, and you're fighting against it. But if I'm trying to get something past the Roman censors, and I'm trying to tell people that Paul was a traitor, the very best way I can do it is say he went to the house of Judas. He went to the house of the traitor. He went to the house of the guy that betrayed the Christ. Saul's in the house of Judas. It was the first place he went, ladies and gentlemen. Into the chat room. Questions, commentary. Let's see. Boy, I can tell that they quit over there at Global Witness. See if I can get back a bit to the top and answer some questions here. Boom, 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 boom. Didn't the Christ announce? Yes, he did. QQ Acts 9:11. There you go, anti-popular girl. Jeepers creepers. I'm with you, girl. I'm with you, girl. A lot of you guys get this. Hilliard Ward says Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Abso-damn-lutely. Chris Jones says we're fed a story to keep people asleep. Abso-damn-lutely. Tracy Dyer puts bacon. I'm not sure why. Am I cooking his bacon? Artistic license, yeah. Who betrayed Jesus? Judas. Can't quit 1109. You are picking up what I'm putting down. And Justin Langteen, what a great comment. And Bible thumpers hate anything that comes from the government, except for the Bible, which came through one world government, the Roman Empire, two world governments. Sorry, I don't know why I'm sharing this. Two world governments, the British Empire. And yet, can you imagine, would Christians accept the Barack Obama version of the Bible? I don't think so. Would Christians accept the George W. Bush version of the Bible? I don't think so. Would Christians accept the Donald John Trump version of the Bible? I don't think so. Would Christians accept the William Jefferson Clinton? I did not have sex with that woman. My Clinton, And it's gotten so bad. I don't know why. But no, they wouldn't accept it. But they'll accept the Roman Empire version. They'll accept the gay King James, Sir Francis Bacon version with no problem and defend it to the death. That's called Stockholm Syndrome, ladies and gentlemen. When you've been duped by captors and you're so duped that you fight for your captors, even when somebody tries to set you free. Paul was a tare amongst the wheat. Oh, Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon. Got it, Tracy. And Muslims don't eat pork. Oh, good, anti-popular girl, so they won't read the Bible. I like it. Alana Dawn is on fire tonight. She's on fire. Saul of Tarsus. Get it? And Alana Dawn, it gets even better on that wordplay of his name. I was watching Derek 5 minutes in the past. I'll watch this again later. Okay. Paul did his damnedest to hide what Jesus was really trying to tell the people, says Chandler Miller. You are 100% right, Chandler Miller. Paul got hit with a bus. I'm missing that joke. I'm sure it's funny, but my head's just not there right now. Love the book. Weren't the authors of the Gospels anonymous, just using well-known names? Perhaps. 2,000 years of brainwashing is hard to overcome, says Chris Jones. Absolutely. Alana Dawn says, Abilene, prettiest town that I've ever seen. Oh, Abilene, my Abilene. She says it's going to blow up when they hear this. Was Paul possibly a messenger? Yeah, he was a messenger of the devil. The Bible Belt. Could Roma suppress the real crucifixion with Paul's help? I don't think there was a real crucifixion. I don't think there was a crucifixion. I can prove to you that if there was a crucifixion, it wasn't Jesus. It was a patsy, a false flag, a setup perpetrated by Paul that Pilate even told us, and I think we get to that, and it was a false flag. Even the Nag Hammadi says that the crucifixion was done in a fake way. Need to smoke a cigarette on that one. I feel like I've been slapped. Yeah. Was it as good for you as it was for me? You do a good Clinton. My Clinton used to be so much better, David. It's really left me. I'm not sure why. It's funny. We never hear about that. Constantine boiled his wife to death. Nice guy. King James wrote another 2 books. I've got the book that he wrote about demonology. Yummy bacon. No notice YouTube does. Well, I know you say YouTube sucks, but if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. I got banned from a church, says Trenzato, for bringing up the Nag Hammadi. Yeah, how dare you? All right, let's get back into another point here. Can we get I feel your pain? Maybe I'll try to work it up again. All right, so, and let's just stay with Paul's conversion, okay? Also, all the men heard the voice from heaven in Acts 9, verse 7. Watch this. Watch this. Acts 9, verse 7. And the men who journeyed with him, that being Saul, stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. So in Paul's first telling of this, they heard a voice. All the dudes that were there with Paul heard a voice, but they didn't see Jebus. They didn't see this manifestation. They heard a voice, but they didn't see the manifestation. Now, in the second account, they don't hear the voice. Where's the second account? Did this guy really make this list and not tell us where the second account was? Oh, where is the second account? Give me a second. I'm going to find it for you. Second account of Paul's conversion. Second account of of Paul's conversion. 3 accounts. Let's see if it tells us where these 3 accounts are, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't make you take my word for it. What are his 3 accounts? Come on, list them for me. List them for me. List them for me. Here we go. Acts 9, Acts 22, and Acts 26. Thank you. Who is this? Thank you, the M.D. Harris Institute. A Christian view of life that all may walk in the truth. I bet they never thought they'd get a shout out from me, and they'll probably disassociate themselves from me. So we just saw where all the men heard but didn't see in Acts 9. Now check this out in Acts 22, ladies and gentlemen. Acts 22, where are you? Come on. Give me. All right. All right. And they that were with me indeed saw the light, but they did not hear the voice of he that spoke to me. Wait a second. You just said over here that they heard a voice but didn't see anything. Now you're saying over here that they saw something but didn't hear anything. First, and then they saw everything and didn't hear anything. Is anybody else confused? And folks, this gets, oh, I'm not showing you this. Damn it. Sorry. Let me show you this. That was the whole point of this thing. So over here again, in Acts 9, the men that journeyed with me heard a voice, but didn't see any man. Okay? But over in Acts 22, they, where the hell is it? There it is. They saw the light, but didn't hear any voice. You can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. Saw, didn't hear. Heard, didn't see. Do you still think that I'm not right about Luke trying to find a way to give you the truth without getting his head chopped off? If I say that he said it one way and then say that he said it the other way, they'll get it. And you know what? They did get it. We just stopped getting it. But now you can get it again because here I am giving it to you. It's what I do. It's my job. It's no big deal. It's just what I do. It's just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that simple. What do we got going on in the chat room? What do we got going in the chat room? I feel your pain. That wasn't too bad. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. That wasn't too bad. Joke time. Reagan, Nixon, Clinton on a cruise ship. We need a little lightheartedness in here. Reagan, Clinton, Nixon on a cruise ship, okay? The presidents are sitting there doing president stuff, talking. The captain runs in and says, "Oh my God, Mr. President, the ship's going down." Ronald Reagan says, "Well, let's save the women and the children." Nixon says, "Screw the women and the children." Clinton says, "You think we got time?" Okay, that was pretty good. All right, so were those men that heard also tares? Good idea. Rooster crows 3 times. Just like Paul's 3 announcements. That's a good one. I'm here to tell you roosters crow all the damn time. I just had a high, he's just high vibe. I guess that's me that we're talking about. Somebody needs some weed. I don't need any weed. I'm like this way just naturally. Hidden meeting, Saul, traitor, just like Luke. Yes, absolutely, bearded Canuck. Oh my God, Jeff, laugh out loud. That was a pretty good one, wasn't it? Miss Lewinsky. Yeah. Yep. All right, so that's another good one, right? Let's do some more. Paul declares that his mission was announced to him by Ananias in Acts chapter 9, 10 through 16. See, Luke is doing this to show you that Paul was lying. Paul, I assure you, wasn't a sloppy liar. Paul would not have made these mistakes if he could have written this stuff himself, but he couldn't because he couldn't see. He had to have Luke write it down. Luke busted him out so we could see it. Paul was not this sloppy poppy. I'm guarantee you he wasn't. This is Luke's ledger Germain showing us it's a spy novel, cousins. Paul says in Acts 9, 10 through 16 that it was Ananias that told him his mission. Watch this. And it was this guy, 9 through 16. And there was a certain disciple named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias, go. You're going to find Paul there. And then Ananias goes and he tells Paul what he's supposed to do. This is your mission, Paul. You've been raised up to be a light to the Gentiles, and you're gonna speak your name right here. He says, sorry. Got a little carried away there. Acts 9:16. You're gonna go and be a light to the Gentiles. Ananias tells him that the Lord told him this. Get back down here. Ananias answered, saying, Lord, I've heard of this man, how much evil he's done. He gets this authority from the chief priest to bind them. The Lord tells Ananias, say unto Saul, look at this. The Lord said unto him, Ananias, go your way and tell Paul he's a chosen vessel to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. Then Ananias goes and he tells Saul what the Lord told him. Okay. Lord tells Ananias, Ananias tells Saul, aka Paul. All right. Well, the only problem with that is the second time he tells this story in Acts 26, this is Luke trying to help a brother and a sister out, ladies and gentlemen. Acts 26 and verses 15 to 18. Watch this. And when we were fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking. I heard a voice speaking unto me. 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 Oh, it was Ananias, right? No. It was Jesus. Maybe it was Jesus Ananias. I don't know. But all of a sudden, where Ananias was one that really told him, now it's Jesus telling him that you are going to be someone to deliver the Gentiles, open their eyes, blah, blah, blah. He's lying, folks. He's lying. And Luke is showing you that he's lying. Not only did he say they saw, but didn't hear, but they heard and didn't see, but that Ananias told this to me, but that Jesus told this to me. And I'm telling you, Paul was not that sloppy. This is Luke showing us that Paul was the first Antichrist, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the chat room. I think Luke was a plant. Luke was a double agent. Alana Dawn is absolutely on fire tonight. Luke is light. Love it. Sorry, this is kind of painful. It does hurt at first, Hilliard Ward. So does a shot. So does surgery to cut out a cancer. But it keeps you alive and you feel a whole lot better afterwards. It is spy versus spy. Luminous, lighten up a little bit. Luke included the players involved so we could trace it back to the truth. That's right. It's also not funny that it's happening. You're right. When the Father speaks out loud, all hear it. Is Ananias Jesus' brother, or is Ananias Jesus' name, since J didn't exist? Maybe it was Jesus. And I was joking. Come on, man. Lighten up. Maybe this isn't the place for you. It just might not be, and that's okay. Come on, man. Really? You're going to bust on me about a Clinton joke? And actually, she wasn't a child. She was of age. Of course, it was bad. But it wasn't a child, at least in that instance. But anyway, we're going to move right past that one. Do we have time for one more? Let me see what that one more is, and I'll decide if we have time for it. Oh, yeah, this will get into what Alana was saying. This is good. Alana was talking about wordplay with Paul's name. Oh, watch this. It gets even better. Watch this. Saul of Tarsus. Tarsus was known in the old world. It was said to be the gateway to hell. Tarsus was thought to be, in the old days, in the first century, the gateway to hell. Saul, literally translated, Saul is the same as Sheol. So Saul, literally translated, meant the dude from hell. You don't think Luke was trying to tell you something? You don't think Luke was trying to tell you something? Ladies and gentlemen, if you can't see this, I really don't think I can help you. And we got one more show here after this. If you can't see this, I really don't think I can help you. Because it's so clear. It's so plain. It's so easy. It is the most crystal clear, plain thing that I've ever seen in the scriptures. And yet, so many of you want to fight and cuss and scream and yell and tell me, Blazing River, I don't know what you're talking about, but I hope you're not talking about why they would do it. They're trying to get the truth to us, bro. Why did the spider cross the road to get to the website? It's funny, says Vigil 1. This is a good one, too. That the other apostles didn't change their names, but Saul did. Gee, I wonder why. If your name meant the man from hell, would you want to change it? I would. I thought Tarsus was the phone booth. Oh, that's right. Of Doctor Who, right? I'm not a Doctor Who watcher. I tried a couple times, but it just doesn't get me. Just didn't catch me. But that's an interesting point there, too. Saul of Tarsus, the planner of tares. Oh, that's what Alana had said earlier. Exactly right. Loud and clear. It is very clear. Sorry, I never read the Bible from front to back. Most of us didn't. Thank you, Jeff. Still learning. Lavera. Change to maybe Peter. Oh, Tracy. Did you read the book? Is that in my thing? Maybe I'll throw this one in as a bonus, because I don't think I put that on this. If you read the book, if you read my book, you knew this. Oh, it's gone now. I speculated at the end of the book I know that Paul went to Rome while Jerusalem burned. I know that Paul started the new church, which was and is now Roman Catholicism and Roman Protestantism. And I speculated at the end of the book that with Paul supposedly having died, but still being there living in Rome as a valet to Caesar, even post Nero, that they said, okay, you're going to run this religion, but you can't be Paul anymore because you're supposed to be dead. Pick another name. So Paul, who had that long-running fight and what's the word? Not a conspiracy, but he had a grudge with Peter. So Paul says, I'll be Peter. Paul becomes the first pope. There's your tradition of the pope changing his name, because the first one was Paul, Saul of Tarsus. And you can't have everybody knowing that a dude that's supposed to be dead is the first pope. So now you got all the popes changing your name, and you got Paul giving Peter a final and not in a good way. How about that? So Tracy Dyer, you either read the book or great minds think alike. And either way, it's okay with me. When did Paul change his name from Saul? Well, supposedly on that Damascus road, Jackie G. Roman Empire equals Roman Catholicism. I like where you're going with that, Lux Mea Christus, but finish it. Roman Empire equals Roman Catholicism equals Roman Protestantism. It's all the same. It's all the same. Paul says, my gospel. What a guy. It was his gospel. That's interesting, too. I should think about that. A demon did say, Jesus I know and Paul I know, but who are you? That's interesting. Once I figured out Paul and suspected he was the first pope. Yep, you were right, Tracy. Evil Spirit doesn't mention any of the real apostles. Good one. Boy, this is a smart chat room. No, Paul wasn't a tax collector, Blazing River. That was Matthew, right? Mattiyahu. I think he was the tax collector. I'm a little rusty. Pretty sure Matthew was the tax collector. Paul was Dick Cheney. He was his family made the tents for the Roman army. That's how we knew that Jerusalem was about to be destroyed, and he got the hell out of Dodge. Didn't tell anybody. Let them all die. Your leader making up who they are each time they're chosen is pretty strange. You think, Alana Dawn? She's on fire tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Paul was a tent maker. Yeah, I just said that, Tracy. Duh. And it was Matthew as a tax collector. Thank you, Unicus Light. I realize there's a delay. I've just given Tracy a hard time. Just came to these truths in the last couple of months. Grew up in the church from Southern Baptist to Jew, Christian. Now no group religion. Congratulations, Hilliard Ward. Now I'm starting to get this all figured out. Yeah, hang around, Jackie G. I do one thing trick pretty good. It's all the same, says Deborah Clark. Judas was a tax collector. I don't know. I don't know if he was or not. He was an arms dealer, more or less, right? Simple. Who did the Christ say on you, you are my rock, I'll build my church? That was Peter. The enslaved don't like to hear that. Mother of dragons. Boy, this is a good one too. The rock the church was built on was clearly Paul, not Peter. Absolutely. All the same indoctrination of the human mind for mass control. Yep. Paul Austin. That's a lie, Tracy. He didn't sell his sweat. He sold I guess you could make that argument because he sold cloths that were anointed, and you could make the argument that they were anointed with sweat. Oops. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. It is Blazing River. I was always suspicious of Paul, says E-Mind 08. Yep, because Saul was very similar to Sheol. and seal in Espanol is the pit. Very good stuff. I don't know, Unicus. I don't know if my sweat would still be able to heal or not. Oh boy, this is good stuff. I was raised in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm about ready to start busting out some Jehovah's Witness videos. Oh, Melinda Biddle, you're the bestest. Melinda's sending me, I still don't know how to say this thing, but it's a hat and some mitts, some gloves in the mail, and I will be proudly spoting those out in the desert at the Witness in the Desert extravaganza, which starts, well, I'll be out there on the 27th and I'll be leaving December the 2nd. So I hope to see some of you out there. Greetings to Mr. Mensa in the UK. Father God has no need of a fancy built church, nor a tax with tax receipts. Put X on them. Like it. I have a Jehovah's Witness passenger that would really not like it if I started tearing into her religion. Yep. Blazing River, thank you so much. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We got one more show of this, and you're not going to hear this anywhere else. This is really, 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 really good stuff. Okay, Mother of Dragons, but I think it was mainly tents. I don't know about the banners, the awnings. I don't know. I would say it's really just tents, but we won't be cross over that. We won't be cross over that. Yeah, she doesn't like me. If she's a J-dub, she doesn't like me. And that's okay. But it's strangely enough, I've probably got more requests from people to do some teaching about the Jehovah's Witnesses than I've got about any other subject. And I used to do a whole week-long study on the Jehovah's Witnesses evangelists. So we're going to be breaking into that, ladies and gentlemen. And it might go into a full day, a part of it. Thank you very much, Jeff. Awesome as usual. Love and light, everybody. Thank you so much, David Gregg. Sheep are scatty thinkers, and they need to be gathered with the calm bomb or bottom. Oh, did you do that on purpose? That was really good. Open heart, open mind. I would be fascinated with that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is really good stuff. This is really good stuff. It's enlightening. This is what we call unindoctrinating yourself. This is what we call creating yourself. And what we're doing here, this is the beginning of the inside job. But you've got to do the inside job because your unindoctrination is an inside job. Let's get our heads right. Let's get our heads straight. I get you, Mother Dragon. Get that con out of my face. Love you guys. Talk to you again tomorrow. I'm still doing Bill Clinton. I always did that bottom lip thing. Nice to see everybody. We're the last generation of real humans. Let's get busy.